are back with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So I met up with the fucking boys today. John Dorr and Izzy Ali, my comedian friends, and we did my other podcast, the Oppression Chamber podcast. That won't be coming out for a while, if it ever does. That was a fucking scratchy episode of that. It's like all three of us were learning how to speak to people again. It was fucking retarded. What do you do when you're talking to someone? Where do you look? I can't remember. Do you look deep into their eyes? Until it becomes weird for everyone involved and the person who's talking forgets what they're saying and the person who's listening doesn't even know what the person's talking about. That's how deep I was looking into Izzy's eyes today. It was too deep. And if it wasn't too deep, I was like looking a meter away from his head. Try not to make eye contact at all. I had no middle ground. It was either deep into his soul or I was looking away like an autistic violinist. The last time I saw those two together, it was 4 months ago, and we were trying to work out a skit about them locking down the Housing Commission towers in Kensington. The rest of the state was open, but they locked down these Housing Commission towers where all the ethnics lived, and we were laughing our heads off. The next day, we were in lockdown for 4 months. They shut Victoria down, and we never got that skit out. I think that's probably why they shut Victoria down. But we were having a little chat about stand-up comedy because that's coming back and that's what I'm meant to be doing. I haven't done it for 7 fucking months, since March. I haven't done a gig since March. And Izzy was saying there's a lot of people that won't be coming back to stand-up. They'll just give it up. I'm like, no, they won't. There was a lot of comedians around before COVID that should have quit years ago that hadn't quit. COVID would have just strengthened them. And John Dorr made a good point. He's like, because people in Melbourne haven't done gigs for fucking 7 months, in their head, everyone would have inflated how good they were at comedy because you haven't been on stage eating shit every night. So people are going to come back to comedy thinking they're better than when they left off. And I'm one of those people. I have been playing it out in my head. I haven't done a show in 7 months, but I feel like I've improved as a comedian. That first show back is going to be fucking rough. Maybe I'll just stop for the rest of the year and come back in the new year. What are we in? We're at the end of October. That just makes it November and December. Gigs aren't starting back till the 9th of November. I wouldn't be missing out on that much, but fuck it, I'm just going straight back into it. I think I'm going to have to tank that first gig back just as a reality check. If I do well the first gig back, it's just going to be out of control. I'll be like, I can just take 7 months off whenever I feel like it. Who needs to gig? Who needs to write material? I'll just jump on stage and riff. I'll just do a live podcast. Oh God, back to comedy. I am a little bit looking forward to it, actually. I'm looking forward to hanging out with some comedians again. Even the ones I hate, I'm sort of looking forward to seeing. And it was good seeing old Johnny Dorr and fucking Izzy Ali again. Izzy Ali, I'm going to put this on public record. I'm just going to say it, but I feel like he may have smoked a little bit too much weed by himself in a dark room during the lockdown. Because at the studio today, in the middle of the podcast, he comes out and he goes, I've come up with a theory of everything, and then explained it for about half an hour. And to say it didn't make a lot of sense would be an understatement. So go listen to that if you want to hear Izzy Ali's theory on everything. It'll come out next week sometime. It really was a little bit hard having a 3-way conversation today. Virtually all my conversations are monologues. It's either me talking into this microphone, me doing stand-up, or me completely ignoring the other person talking and listening to whatever fucking narrative's going on in my head. I sat there a couple of times when Izzy was going through his theory of everything, and I was trying to listen, like completely listen. Like, just sit here, David, just listen. Don't think about what you're going to say next. Just look Izzy deep into his fucking black eyes and listen to the stupid shit coming out of his mouth. And I just kept on saying that. I'm like, listen, just listen. And I kept on missing what he was saying while I'm telling myself to listen. And I'm like, all right, focus now, focus. Don't worry about what he said before. He'll definitely repeat it. Start focusing now. And then Izzy would be talking, and after about maybe 20, 25 seconds of really good listening, I would start saying to myself, fuck, I'm a really good listener. Do you reckon you can tell you're listening so well? You know, if you listen like this all the time, people would probably like you more. People like listeners, and I'm saying this and I'm completely not listening to a fucking word Izzy is saying. I'm like, all right, I missed everything Izzy just said then. Thank God he repeats himself every 2 seconds. Let's start again, listening now. And again, it would be like maybe 10, 15 seconds of like pure listening. Like I'm talking fucking top shelf listening. And then the voice in my head would start again. It would be something like, do you reckon Dor can tell how well I'm listening? I wonder how well Dor listens. There's no way Dor's a better listener than me. I am a fucking killer listener, especially when I pay attention to listening. Like when I really want to focus on listening, I'm a really good listener. And then in the middle of this like self-congratulatory dialogue in my head, Izzy's just looking at me and he's like, you understand? And I'm like, yes, I do. I have no idea what you've just said for the last 14 minutes, but I'm feeling pretty good about my listening skills at the moment. That's something I'm definitely going to work on, my listening skills. Or at the very least, my fake listening skills. I'm going to start to at least look like I'm paying attention to people. Because people love a good listener. I might even stop talking completely. I might only talk on this podcast and in stand-up, and that's it. Maybe I'll just become one of the world's best listeners. Heaps of people are good talkers. The world needs a pair of ears more than it needs another voice. Alright, that is me done for tonight. I just want to say thank you to everyone who sends me messages, everyone who's left a review. I really do appreciate it. I'm not just saying it. I love the interaction with everyone. If it takes me like a day or two to get back to you, don't worry, I'll get back to you eventually. It's just I've looked at your message, I've read it, and put my phone down to message you later, and completely forgotten. But I go back to all the messages and look through the ones I haven't replied to, and then I reply. But thank you, I really do appreciate it. And that's it for me tonight. If you're enjoying the podcast, give it a share around, and I'll see you the fuck later.